Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have a Christmas card to share with you using the Den Sweet Den by Lawn Fawn. I've bought this stamp set a while back and it's no much fun as well, but I didn't cut the dies, so I didn't use those. But now I have the dies from the Den Sweet Den set and I'm ready to use it. I first of all die cut this Sweet Feline panel. It's one of the panels I've used the most for my Christmas cards lately. It's just adorable. The finishing with the scalloped edge is just gorgeous. And I masked off some sort of a grounding using my purple tape. Now I am combining some distress inks to create my background, and I was actually inspired by Julia from Craft Room Adventures to use this color combination. In the end, I used some more distress inks because the gorgeous card by Julia, she did landscape style while I'm doing a vertical one. And sometimes a vertical one needs a bit more colors to create the background to have still that effect of being amazing. So I just added 2 more colors, but the base truly is inspired by Julia. I thought her card was so gorgeous. So I checked it out, her video, and discovered these color combinations. So I'm just blending back and forth. I am using the Transotype Perfect Coloring Paper for today's card panel, and yeah, that's what I'm doing. I wanted to have a really powerful but also warm background, and I really thought that it was so powerful, this one. But then indeed, because it is a vertical, I decided to add aged mahogany to the top of this panel, and because I wanted it a bit more warm, I decided to add on the bottom a little bit of dried marigold. And for the rest, I kept it exactly the same as Julia. That's something that's pretty, you don't really need to change, but I just had to add a bit more color to fill up the vertical style. And then when that's done, I am going to add a little bit of grounding. I will remove my purple tape and add some purple tape above, and then I will ink blend some antique linen. In my opinion, when you don't know what you should use as grounding, antique linen is a safe option. So yeah, that's what I tend to go for. So here I'm just adding a bit of a dried marigold to create a warm glow on the bottom, and then it's done. So now I am removing my purple tape, and I just love removing purple tape when it's just crisp and perfect. So I decided to heat set it a bit because I saw that it was still wet, and then I added some more purple tape to do the grounding. If your paper is still wet from the ink you used and you add some sort of a purple tape or blue tape or whatever, sometimes you can peel off the ink a bit. So that was not the idea. So therefore I just heat set it a little bit, added purple tape, ink blended, and that's it. So that's my panel. I am going to do some splattering, and therefore I will mask off my grounding again, and then I can splatter some Gansai Tambi Starry colors on top of it. And today I'm using the blue gold. I compared it with this strip. This strip is from Tonic Studios. It's glitter card gold dust, and I bought it last week, and I must admit, this gold dust is just the most amazing gold glitter paper I have ever seen. It's even prettier in real life, but I must admit I'm a huge fan of Tonic Studios. Their papers like the mirror card and now the glitter card, I just adore it. The gold cardstock, just perfect. So if you're looking for a glitter cardstock with gold, then I really recommend this one because it's gorgeous. I can watch it hours and hours and I will never get bored. It's perfect. So I have spritzed some water inside of my pan of this blue gold, and I really made sure that I blended the water enough with the ink so that the splatters would be thick enough, because this paper cannot really resist water very well. So the thicker your paint, the less your card will be, yeah, a bit ruined. So here I have again my gold, and I'm going to die cut cozy out of it, but first I'm going to add this Sizzix foam adhesive sheets on the back, because I want the cozy to be lifted, and I decided that I wanted to try this adhesive again. I did it in the past, but really long time ago, and I decided it would be handy, because this way I don't need to add layers of the same leather to get some dimension. So I cut out the cozy from this, and I also have 2 gold strips to put on the sides of the sweet feline. When I use sweet feline, I don't add any strips if the sweet feline panel is out of pattern paper. But when I use some ink blending or whatever, I really like it when some pattern papers, or in this case some glitter, is coming from underneath the panel itself. So onto the coloring, I'm also using the perfect coloring paper for this one, and I will be adding a lot of layers to get what I want. I'm only going to show you 2 bears because I'm going to color them in exactly the same colors. My background is spectacular in my opinion. These critters are adorable, but I don't want them to be too distracting. They can have their part on the bottom of my card, but really I don't want to use 6 colors of browns or whatever to color them in. I will also take a pencil, the Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils that I have. I'm using number 182 for today because it fits with this brown, and it's just to add a bit more shadow. But also I saw when I was using the pencil that it actually looks more like fur. So after adding it to the spaces where I wanted shadow and a nicer transition, I decided to just lightly go over the completed bear so that it was a bit more furry. So that's what I did. So I'm adding my darkest layer, then my mid-tone, and then my lightest. This is currently how I'm coloring with my Copic markers, but if you prefer starting with your lightest marker, then you just do that. That's perfectly fine. Also for this bear I was adding layers and layers because the blending on this paper sometimes isn't completely how I want it to, because I'm used of Nina and it's a different kind of paper, so the coloring is a bit different. But then after a while I decided, okay, I can use a pencil as well. So then I stopped adding layers and layers. So I'm also going to color in this tiny bear. So actually what you see here are 4 images or 5 images from the Then Sweet Then, and then the bear underneath, the one I'm coloring right now, is from the Snow Much Fun. But I think it could be brother and sister, or 2 brothers or 2 sisters, when you compare all those tiny ones. I love it when the same image returns in another stamp set, but in a different way when you look at the positioning. So you can combine them so easily. I love it. I hope that there will be more bears in the future, because I'm a fan of the mice by Lawn Fawn, and I actually hope that the bears will be some sort of the same as the mice, just keep coming with them. So I'm also coloring this mug. I'm using red, and I try to sort of go to the darkest red from my panel that I have ink blended, doing some tip to tip to get the blending going. And now it's time for my color pencil. And when everything is colored in, I am using the matching dyes, except for the Snow Much Fun. That one I don't have yet, so I just fussy cut that out, but it's not the hardest image to fussy cut, so that's handy. So as I told you before, I'm first going on the spaces where I have my shadows, and I don't know if it's actually that visible, but in my opinion it really helps with the blend. You can also use darker colors to add more depth to your shadows, but I really wanted to keep these bears light, soft and fluffy. So I decided to not go any darker using pencils, but if you want to do no-line coloring or such, it can be really handy to use some darker pencils to get some more depth created, but whatever you like, of course. Also, pencil is not necessary, as you can see in the end. The bears worked out. It's just an extra addition and trying to show it here, but in my opinion it's more like fur, so I like the idea. So I die cut everything using the matching dies, and I'm just going to place everything to see where I can stamp my sentiments. Because I die cut the cozy, and the idea is actually to have a very cozy Christmas, like it's on the stamp set, but with the cozy jumping out and also matching with the sides of my card later on. So I had to place the have a berry and then Christmas, making sure that there was enough space for the cozy, and then of course I wanted them lined up in the middle of my panel, and then I could heat emboss it. I'm using white today. I have some gold embossing powder, as you know, but that gold isn't the same gold as the glitter cardstock, so just to be safe I decided to use my Glacier White Nouveau embossing powder. And in my opinion, when you use dies and you have that white border, if you're not sure about which embossing powder you use, you can always check out what your images have, and with the white border I think white embossing powder can always be your solution. Of course, then it has to stand out from your background. If you have a really soft background, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but maybe it works. It depends all on the colors you used. So I am getting rid of the excess embossing powder that is on my panel, and then I can heat set this completely. So I'm first starting on the back, and then I come in the front, just going quickly over all the parts of this sentiment. Important to buff off the anti-static powder, then you really get your background popping again, because it makes your background a bit dull. It's a white powder, so I'm stamping out my little stamp on the background because I'm going to add stuff on the inside. Normally I stamp it afterwards when the card is completely finished and dry and stuff. But now I had to do that first, because if there is any bulk on the inside of the card, I can have some difficulties stamping out my little stamp set. So I'm adding these slivers of glitter, and now I'm going to trim off the excess. I prefer using my trimmer for that. And now I can add my panel, therefore I'm going to use some liquid glue. I love the fact that you have those two borders on the sides of the Sweet Feline panel, but then again it's sometimes hard to get it really centered on your card base. So if you use some liquid glue, you also have some wiggle room to move it a bit if needed, and that's why I used it. Always with this Sweet Feline panel, always. So now I'm going to space out the cozy, and therefore I'm using my T-square ruler. I have checked where the middle is, and I'm just going to place my letters going from the inside to the outside of the cozy. and that's how I sort of try to get it in the middle. Something that I think would also be lovely is just to put it a bit wonky, but I didn't want to move my T-square ruler, so decided to go for a straight cozy. That's it. And then I can continue with my images. So my images, I'm going to lay them out first again. And I'm using some liquid glue and some thin foam squares to add them to my panel. So for the inside, as I said before, I have something extra. So I'm using this sweet Feline. There is some sort of a pocket inside of this die set. And I have die cut it from the Lawn Fawn paper pack, Let It Shine. This yellow-white paper is my favorite from the whole paper pack, I think. So it matches with the antique linen in the front. And that's what I was going for. So I am going to close this one up. I prefer adding the little tabs like this on the outside that I'm going to cover because I'm going to adhere it. But this way nothing is in the way when they are putting some money inside of it. So that's why I do that. And then this adorable bear from the Snow Much Fun will hold this pocket straight, or sort of try to do that, but he's tiny. But first I am going to do a little bit of ink blending. I have this post-it tape and it's already really old and I haven't used it much. But in the past I used it all the time, but then I stopped with it and changed to the purple tape because I cannot get my hands on it. The store where I bought it from just couldn't get it refilled and it was getting annoying. And since then I just haven't used it because I didn't want it to run out. But now that I'm here and talking about it, maybe someone underneath you knows a European reseller that is selling these amazing post-it tapes. Don't know, but if you know a store, definitely leave it down below. You would help me a lot because I really want some more of this post-it tape. So just softly blended my background. And now I'm going to use some more score tape to add this pocket to the inside of my card. I'm not using score tape all the way to the edges because I want the person that is going to send this card to have some room to push the pocket a bit open if needed to put the money inside. So I'm adding this, and then the bear I will add with some dots, glue dots. Because I want the bear to be overlapping the little pocket and also be adhered to the inside of the card, of course. And then I decided that I wanted some embellishment for the inside of the card as well to match with the outside. So I took the Pocket Envie by Mama Elephant, and there is a adorable star die inside of it. So I decided to also die cut it from the amazing glitter card, and I'm just going to add 3 stars to this pocket and sort of the inside. And I will add it with some liquid glue, and once that's on there, this card is completely finished. So I think actually this is one of the first times that I did something on the inside of the card. I might be wrong, but I think it. And I really liked it. The purpose of doing this is just adorable. I think instead of just putting money loosely in the card, now it can fit somewhere inside. I'm also making another card which I will not be filming, also with a pocket on the inside, the same principle, but I'm using other stamps. I am going to share it on my blog if you are interested, but that will be a bit later, and I will share the coloring of that one on Instagram. So that's the idea that I currently have. If you have any questions about this card, you can definitely leave it down below. If you like the card, you can also give this video a thumbs up. I would truly appreciate it. And for the rest, I hope you have a gorgeous day, and I will see you back soon. Bye!